Good. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Hope your lunches went well. This is the Varsity Administration session here at the NACE convention. My name is Luke. I'm going to be the moderator for today's session. And with me today is Josh and Joey, and we'll go ahead and let them introduce yourselves. Josh, why don't you start us off?
Hi, I'm Joshua Young. I'm the head coach at Pennsylvania College of Technology. We're here in Williamsport, PA, the home of Little League. And my program has been running since 2017. I officially took it over as the coach in 2018. And I'm also a board member of NACE since 2019.
Awesome. Joey?
Yep, my name's Joey Gariziak. Also, kind of like Joshua, been around since 2017 here at Shenandoah University. I've been a board member for the last year. Before that, was on the competition council. And happy to learn about varsity administration. Oh, talk about varsity administration. We're not learning. My gosh, I'm still trying to learn as we get going on things. But no, certainly happy to talk about experiences and what we've got here. And this is a great panel. I mean, between the three of us, I think we've got a lot of experiences, and hopefully people get something out of this that they can take back to their schools and implement this year.
Absolutely. So we're going to go ahead and just start off with some of the questions that we have planned for all of you. However, don't hesitate to start putting some questions into the chat that you might have for us. We want to make sure that we answer all of your questions today and you are able to leave this session fulfilled and like you have at least one takeaway, like Joey said, to implement back into your programs after today. But to start off, Josh, Joey, can you share a little bit about how we set budgets for the program and utilize extra revenue and how we present that to administration?
Go ahead, Joshua.
All right, sure. Yeah, I'll start. I'm just going to start with the most important thing that administration thinks is that they can start up a program and say, hey, okay, we'll just drop $50,000 and be done with it. Once you start this program, there's going to be a need for an operating budget, and you need to start planning on how to go about that. Now, with our group, most of my budget is from marketing because we use this program to market our school as well than playing it. So I get my budget from there, and we're going to start delving into using other ways, other avenues through Twitch and stuff like that to build up our budget as well.
Yeah, budget is incredibly important, and you've got to be careful. I mean, I don't know of any program out there that's like working a multi-million-dollar budget like a traditional athletics program might at big-time colleges. If you have that, great. Let me know, and I'll apply to your school. I'll come work there anytime. Because most of us are operating on what are considered relatively small budgets. And you got to be creative with that. And so getting that budget and presenting it to administration and about your needs, make sure that if you are a startup program, you differentiate between startup costs and operating costs, because those are two very different things. That startup number to buying PCs and getting some kind of space, that might look like sticker shock to a lot of administration. And they might bulk on that a little bit, but it's like, hey, this is just to start us, right? You don't invest up front to get the program started, to get it launched. And then your operating budget doesn't have to be near the size of that. Especially for equipment. Obviously, computers are going to be very expensive. So depending on the size and scope of what your institution has, maybe you're creative. One of the things that we did here at SU when we got started a couple years ago is actually the budget I got, and I know the exact number. I got $7,760 to get the program started. I was like, what the heck am I going to do with that? Whatever. So there wasn't a whole lot I could do there. It didn't give me a lot of wiggle room. But what I did is I went to our new virtual reality program that was also starting. And we said, hey, let's combine our resources. Let's buy PCs, because PCs that can be used for VR, hopefully can also be used for gaming and vice versa. So you're now combining resources with another department on campus to help spread the resources out a little bit, so you can get to the number of PCs that you need just to get started. And that's incredibly important, is getting started, getting off the ground, and then you can grow from there. But certainly looking at what you present to administration for what you're requesting for a budget should be much higher than what you get. Always aim high and see what you come back with. And so that's, yeah, so it's important to do that. And then as far as like what Joshua was talking about with using Twitch and getting external money, it's hard to find those external sources for money and generate revenue. Looking at partners is really big, trying to partner with other companies, not necessarily for money, but at least for like stuff, like products, chairs, headsets, keyboards, mice, wherever you can get companies to work with you to help give you product or support you along the way, whether it's money or equipment or whatever else it's going to be. You're able to at least maybe not get more money, but you're able to save the university money. And so that always helps too. And so you're phrasing it a little bit different. But certainly talking about your budget is going to be really tough for any program. And all of us know the pain of not having enough money. We all want more money. We all want more PCs. And so a lot of times it's being as creative as you can with the resources you have and keeping to look for external funding, whether it's running events, traveling to other places, partnering with other institutes, partnering with outside companies to bring additional resources. Offering something that's going to generate revenue beyond student tuition is what administration loves to hear. If you can find additional streams of revenue that goes beyond tuition, that's going to be huge for them. And if you figure out what that is, let me know, because I'm trying to do the same thing and figure out how we can continue to bring in revenue, not to get rich. The goal isn't to get rich as a program. The goal is to support the students and the program as best you can, while showing the value to administration for them to invest more, and it reciprocates over time, right? And so you got to be creative. Esports is different. It's outside the box. So certainly setting that budget, determining how much you need for like entry fees, how much you want kind of in the coffers in case something goes wrong with the PC. If you're going to hire coaches, and if that stipend comes out of your budget, or if you're looking for volunteers, So being clear on what needs to come out of that budget, and then asking for probably double what you think you need is going to be something that you need to do with administration on a yearly basis. But again, starting things up, make sure that you differentiate between startup costs and operating costs, because those would be very different.
I just want to add something about what Joey just said there. So my budget was a little bit more than his by a few thousand, but that's, one computer. So when we were looking at this, I'm like, geez, I can get 5 computers, or I can promote my team and figure out this. I work in educational technology full time at Penn College. So I started looking there, and we pulled our resources, and we ended up getting an educational grant from the state of Pennsylvania in the tune of $50,000 that we used to build our facility. Since you can basically repurpose that and understand that esports equipment is no different than educational technology equipment. The way you set up OBS and do all your streaming, all those things, that's no different than what our office does daily to help out our faculty on campus. So we were creative in that way to get what we wanted, and still keep that very meager budget and make it work.
Yeah, exactly. And to go off, and I know, Luke, I know you're going to get to some of these comments, but I will address some of these as we're going, because I think it's interesting looking at the number of PCs you have, because that's always a good question people have. Well, how many PCs do I need to start up? And that kind of goes with what I was talking about with the startup costs. I always advise programs 13 PCs is like the minimum number to start with. The reason I said 13 is because that will give you enough for up to 2 Overwatch teams, plus 1 observer view if you want to stream or do anything with it. But I know Overwatch 2 is going 5v5, so we can go with 11. I get it. But that's the number I say is a minimum. An absolute minimum would be 7. That way, again, you can still support an Overwatch team with 1 additional PC for an observer view or to stream from. That's usually what I say is a minimum. So there's a question about like ratio for students to PCs. I don't know if there's a golden number there for ratio. It depends on how you structure and schedule time in your arena and time on the PCs with how many students you have and where the interest is. For us, we have about 60 varsity competitors, and we have 20 PCs. So I'm not saying that that's the magic ratio or anything. It all comes down to scheduling. I'd love to have double the amount of PCs. Who wouldn't? To make things easier to schedule and give more time in there. So I think it's what works best for your program, what works for the space that you have on your campus as well, and what works for your budget. Again, I think 7 is the absolute minimum. I recommend always 13 at a minimum, and then build from there. Adding 1 or 2 a year will get you up to the space that you really need in a couple of years So yeah, Nick asked that. I don't know if there's a magic answer there or a number people always go for, but that's kind of what I always recommend to administrations when they're starting programs.
So on that note, and talking about space and PCs, how did you two go about designing your spaces? What went into that thought process?
Well, getting a space on campus, at least my campus, was the major problem. Whenever a space was vacated or thought about, the first thing is, hey, this is going to be used for academic purposes, not fun. So that honestly limited where we could go. Once we did design and figure out where we need to go, we basically set, we knew, just like Joey said, that we went with the number 15 PCs, a minimum of 15 PCs. So we started looking for that space that would allow us to have that amount and also, some breathing room to add more, because when I started this in 2017, 2018, I was talking to the big schools now like Maryville and those, they said that you're going to run out of room in 2 years. We have been in our Wildcat Den 2 years, and I would love to have a facility of 30 computers because I have 35 students in my program. That's where I see it going. So always think about your space and say, hey, 2 years down the road, it's going to double. And it's going to double if you're successful and you lead it down the path, manage it. If you just leave it be, it still will grow. It's just because of the students and their ambition towards it. They really push how you develop that space. The next part is exactly who's going to use that space. Right now, since I only have the 15 computers and I have 30 on my varsity program, it's only my varsity program. I have time set on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 5 to 7 to let the 50 members of our club utilize it. But past that, it's just strictly varsity program. So that's the next part. And then the biggest one is, how are you going to manage this? Like I said earlier, my full-time job is in educational technology. I teach the faculty how to use technology in the classroom. So that's what I'm doing all day. And then at the end of the day, I'm, in the Wildcat Den for an hour or two each night. Well, from 9 to 5 when it's open, who's running it? Do you have student workers to do that? The next part is what type of facility? Are you going to have it so that spectators could be there? Or would it be just the players? Do you plan on streaming? So you'd need a special location for streaming, because right now we have streaming. We do stream just Overwatch right now. I'm working on getting others. But our stream system is in the same area as where they play the games. Not a good idea at all. So, that's my next step, is to take that and move it. I don't care if it has to go into a closet in the gym. Just as long as it's far enough away from there, it's fine by me. So that's some of the main things. I just see somebody saying about power issues. Yeah. Ours is located in the library, and the library has a very good backup system, and we have our own internet connection that's not on that normal line of our college. So that separates us a little bit to not have to worry about those types of things.
Nice. Yeah, I'm glad you answered the power question, because that's not my bag right there. I'm glad, Joshua, I'm glad you're here to help with that. It's kind of much more your area than mine. Yeah, going back to the facility space, my gosh, there's going to be so much variance and so much dependence from one institution to the next. There's not like one easy answer for that. When we got started, we were in the top floor of a library. And that was horrible. We lasted for about a week there, and they realized that gamers get loud when they game. I said, hey, I told y'all, but you want to put me in the library? All right, let's go for it. But we're in the stacks, and people are like studying. I don't know what they're studying over there, something in books. And we got loud, and they're like, yeah, you got to find a new home. I said, yep, I knew we would have to. And so they put us they put us in a basement. They really did. They put us in a basement where gamers go, I guess. But again, we partnered with our VR program to have this space that had 14 PCs in it, and kind of acted as VR space during the day, esports space from 5 o'clock on. And so we had to share that space. And after a year of doing that, administration saw that we needed our own space because we were growing so quickly. And so we were moved into a space that we didn't design from scratch. We didn't have the opportunity to design it. We retrofitted a current space on campus that was used for actually housing like our physical plant accessories, like paint supplies. And so they took all that out. They installed HVAC, which is obviously critical when you're having computers in there. You got to keep them dry, keep them warm, and keep them cool, depending on the season. So installing HVAC and running fiber was the two biggest expenses that we encountered when retrofitting this space. And, it's turned into a great space. And we wanted, again, the goals of our program would be different than what Joshua's goals are or what Luke's goals are for the program. Our goal was to have a spectator arena, but we wanted that to coincide with our esports degree that we're offering as an academic major so that our students could run events to get that hands-on experiential learning. And there's pros and cons to it. It's great because at the drop of a hat, I can run an event out in that space in 20 minutes if I needed to. I don't have to move anything around. I don't have to set anything up. We have our broadcast production studio ready to go. We have our viewer experiences and viewers seats ready to go. Everything is ready. We got our stage set up. Everything's good. The downside is that I don't get to fit as many PCs as I normally could if it was like more of a computer lab, for lack of a better term, that is much more efficient with the use of space. So pros and cons to it. And so you got to make your facility what fits your budget, but also what fits the goals and the mission of your program at your institution. That's really, really important. And so looks like I'm going slow. Everybody hear me okay still? Okay, cool. I just want to make sure my internet going a little bad here. Esports, welcome to esports. Something bad is going to go wrong with the technology at any given moment. So with what we've got, we have 1,600 square feet in our facility with 20 PCs, and it's not huge, but it certainly fits everything that we need from the competitive and the academic perspective. But every school is going to be different, and how you manage that, as Joshua was saying, it's going to be different. My full-time job is luckily just in esports. I'm also a professor, so I teach esports courses. But really, I just situate myself in our arena throughout the day and use it as my office instead of my office in the business school. And so I can be in here to help manage the arena when students can't be here because they're in class. But we employ work study positions. We have 37 work study positions assigned to esports that we can help manage the arena, work in the broadcast production, work in social media, as well as help manage and coordinate some of our teams to make sure they are where they need to be. Those are student positions. Our staff positions help actually manage the teams and coach the teams. But as far as like a little bit of the coordination, yeah, it is a dream, Miles, I'm telling you. It's awesome to get those student workers because it also coincides with getting them the experience that they're looking for that go on a resume. There's a lot of advantage there for that. So managing the arena falls really to my assistant director and our work study students, where I could focus more on strategic partnerships and other things that go along with kind of that director role that we have here. But like I said, every school is going to be different. We're not all going to be St. Clair with our 10,000 square foot facility or whatever it is that Sean's getting up there. We're not all getting that right away. Shout out to them. It looks like an awesome, awesome facility. I can't wait to go visit and beat them there or compete there. It's going to be awesome, but I think we need to kind of, Sean isn't here.
Yeah.
You wouldn't hear that. So it looks like an awesome facility, but we're not all going to be there right off the bat. And that's okay because like I said earlier, find a way to get started. And as your program grows, show administration how much you're growing. That's a good problem to have because now your administration is like, okay, it kind of forces them to kind of look at how they can support you in a more meaningful way that is scalable, right? Because if you're moving from one place to another place to a third place any given year, that's going to be a headache for everybody across campus. So it's really tough sometimes to find that space, but if you can show that you're growing and filling and engaging in that space and that space is being utilized for more hours a day than like a classroom is or a lab space is, You show that occupancy and how often you're using it. Your buildings people on campus, your physical plant or whatever that department might be called, is going to be really excited that you're actually using the space they built for you instead of just using it for 1 or 2 hours a day. Because gamers will use it a lot if you give them access to it. They'll be in there playing. So if you can show that you're engaging, show that you need more room, more PCs because you're expanding the program and you're showing success, and you're showing that student retention and recruitment, those are buzzwords that administration wants to see. They'll help you find the resources as much as they can to expand your program, build your space, and manage it in an appropriate way.
Absolutely, and I just wanted to reiterate something that Joey said about kind of setting the goals for your space. I think it's really important to make sure that you're not just sticking as many PCs in a room as you can and focus on just competition. I think it really needs to create in a very, like Joey was saying, an engaging, inclusive environment, because that's what's going to help thrive your program outside of that competition. You're going to build that community, build that environment where students want to spend time in there. And so it's really important to consider that when you're building your space, where even if it's something as simple as a few couches and one viewing monitor for people to watch VOD reviews or watch people playing, just to create a little bit more of that engaging environment for non-competitors to participate in the space. So that's just something I hear from a lot of new programs, is that they just want to try to stick as many PCs in the room as they can, but not worry about any of that other part of that experience. And so that's definitely something you want to consider when you're setting the goals for your program and what that experience you want to create in your arena, in your facility. So moving on, I don't see any questions just yet in the chat so far. So let's move on to promotion. Social media. Who runs it? What are some of the guidelines your program follows? What legitimizes the program? Branded on Twitch. What brands and gear do you have?
Oh boy. Go ahead, Joshua. Lead us off again.
Sure. Okay. Well, I think you're going to see two totally different sides here, because my social media world is heavily guarded. It's a big no-no on campus to have our students manage those things, unless they are actual employees of the college. So we do have student positions, and they do gain access because of that. I have no student positions. There is one coveted position. We have a sports management degree, and there's an internship with esports each semester that one person gets. They are the ones that are allowed to run my social media. I am still working with my college on how to, let loose, especially with Twitch. I don't want to be the one that has to hit the button to start it up every time. But this is where you just really need to educate your administration on why social media is so important to promote esports. It's a no-brainer, because if you do not do that, how do people know you have a team, and how do they know how they're doing? The only other way is to put it up on a traditional website. Ours is currently under athletics, so all of our games are listed there. We've been playing around with the Sideline Sports software that we use to sort of tailor it to fit esports a little bit better. But yeah, it's super important to use social media. And I feel that it's very important to have the students who are participating or want to be involved in the program to run those outlets for you. Just have to be moderated in some way, because it is attached to the college's brand.
Yeah, great point. And yeah, it is a little different here at SU. We are given a lot more free reign, which I don't know if we're technically allowed to, but I'm doing it anyway. It's for me, it's like, hey, we're doing our thing. And if they tell me to stop, I'll stop, but I'm not going to stop until they tell me. But we do monitor. We monitor everything that goes out there from social media. And part of our academic program we have is to get those students doing those things, because having an esports degree doesn't mean anything without experience. right? Just like an esports certificate or credential, whatever you want to call it. It's about having experiences. It's going to help get students jobs, whether it's in esports or outside of esports. And so we want our students with that hands-on experience, whether they're work study or doing an internship or just getting experiences doing things here. So we have 2 work study positions for social media. We monitor everything that goes out before it goes out as a staff, but we also have a paid time stipended part-time employee at the university that helps handle the social media and coordinate with them. So it's like everything else, it's going to be different from one school to the next. See what works best for you. But yeah, social media, like Joshua said, is critical. We just talked in the last session I moderated about how critical social media is to the promotion of a program. Using things like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitter are really important. And some schools have incredible social media campaigns that go out that I'm just blown away by. I am not a social media guru by any stretch of the imagination. I'm glad other people are that I work with, because anybody that's worked in social media knows that is a full-time job to have an effective social media campaign. It's long, it's thought out. There's a lot of things scheduled. Everything is very intentional. It's not as simple as sitting down, tweeting once or twice a day, and then moving on. A lot goes into that to really have an effective one. So really keep those things in mind as you're talking about social media, who's going to be running that, how it's going to be run, and what the appropriate channels are. But yeah, get on TikTok, get on Instagram, get on Facebook, get on Twitter, and whatever, MySpace, whatever else is out there. It's not a thing anymore. But utilize that stuff, and it's important, but do it appropriately. But the more you can engage students, whether it's social media, broadcast production, event management, get them the experiences, they're going to help you out so much, and they're going to make your job doable where you don't burn out after the first month of an academic year, because you can't handle everything by yourself. You can't do it. You're going to burn out so quickly. And so getting students to help will really help you out in the long run, and it helps them out in the long run. It just takes some upfront training and some monitoring to go along the way. But the benefits you can get from that are huge in the end. And yeah, shout out, I saw in chat, Sean was talking about how they got started. Exactly. That's my point. Get started, even if it's a 600 square foot facility where you're using discarded furniture like Sean did apparently. Whatever it takes to get started. I mean, that's fine. Show that you're growing. You'll get there. It's going to take time. Not everybody can start off like Miles, where you got 2,500 square feet and 20 PCs right off the bat. It's great if you do, but don't feel like you're the worst program in the world and you're failing if you're not there to start out. You're all succeeding because you're here, because you're willing to get the program started. So it's okay to start small and to let it grow from there. And you'll find that it might be good to start small, because you don't realize what you need until you get started. That's something that I preach here all the time. When we're starting to do something, I'm not going to invest money in something I think might be beneficial down the road. I'm going to wait and hold on and get started to see if we really need that or not, and what that return on that investment is going to be, because I got to pinch pennies all the time, with the budgets we have. So yes, let it grow. You can sing that. I'm not going to, because it'd be horrendous. But yeah, it's important that you do let your program grow organically, because it's going to be different than everybody else's.
Awesome, thank you. And what about more kind of internal promotion for your team, your players, your coaches? What's some of the gear you have? How do you really brand yourselves on campus?
Yeah, I'll start, Joshua. I'll lead us off. Give you a break from going first, man. Yeah, on campus. So you see the brand behind that one. We created a brand just for our esports program that is influenced by athletics, but also influenced by our university brands. Again, that's not going to be for every school. Some of you that fall under athletics might need to use the athletics logo. Obviously, you want to go through your marketing team, your university, your school, to make sure that you're doing things appropriately. But we got to go ahead to have our own brand that we could start, spreading around campus and the community and online. And we use it in everything that we do. So every piece of content that we create that goes on YouTube has that at the beginning and at the end. When we're running things on campus, every sign, every message has that brand associated with it. I mean, you see the shirts that we've got here. We've all got shirts, right? So that branding goes a long way. And as far as like equipment and things on campus, something I would love to do, and I know that other schools do this, is get equipment for our students. I mean, you look at a football team on a college campus, they're wearing sweatshirts, they're wearing, pants, they have whatever hats, whatever other branded things they have to kind of help create that brand awareness on campus. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to, in my budget, been able to afford like backpacks. I would love to give all of my varsity students backpacks that have our brand on it they can wear around campus. I can't even afford to give them T-shirts. I buy them jerseys, but that's all I can afford to do. So they're walking around with their jerseys, which is great, but I'd rather be able to give them things like sweatshirts, like backpacks, and other swag that they can wear around to kind of help promote what we're doing, because we want this as part of the university experience. This is not its own island where people are isolated. You know, they're students at the university, just like people that play the oboe, just like people that play football, just like people in our business school. You know, so we want them as part of the campus community, and we want to welcome people into our esports arena and to be part of what we do. But a lot of people just don't know who we are. And so running events like Jackbox events, we ran that during COVID. We've done some Among Us events. Yeah, the oboe is awesome. I don't play it. I just love the way it sounds. You know, Jackbox events, but things that aren't as competitive as like an Overwatch event on campus are really fun just to engage with people. And word of mouth is incredible. I love that we have students that are willing to talk to other students, help spread the word about what's going on campus. Obviously, messaging in Discord is great too, but that's only if they're part of your community. So having a brand, associating it with things that you're doing, keeping it consistent in your brand messaging will go a long way with it. But certainly if you've got the money to be able to buy them backpacks or swag or sweatshirts or something, I encourage it, because that's what our traditional athletics gets a lot of times. So I think our esports students should absolutely get that too. Again, just goes back to what your budget is.
Yeah, I have to say at a minimum, for you know, giving out things, you need to give your students a jersey. It's sort of like that rite of passage that they made it to varsity. Now, I just lost my budget this year for jerseys, but on the other side, we had a fundraiser here in the spring that got us more than enough money for me to be able to purchase 30 jerseys. We're at 2.0, so this year is a new jersey for us. We used esports gear, which would be another great promotional tool that I'd suggest. Reach out to them and talk to them because they have some great gear and the prices are pretty good to get you started. So yeah, at a minimum that like we call that a rite of passage. I have to say, Joey, too, our logo is created by the same company you guys got.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But what else do I want to talk about?
No, I'll go ahead and jump in, Josh, and reiterate what Joey said. I mean, players' gear is one of the just a huge another form of promotion, and it turns into secondary advertising. Your players are going to go post pictures of themselves in their gear, opening their player package. I was really surprised when we got our budget, our operational budget on a year-to-year basis. Our player package is actually our second largest line item. And so we're really lucky in the fact that our players all get joggers, a jersey, a backpack, a water bottle, a jacket, a hat, and a stress ball. So there's no rage quitting in our arena. And I was blown away by that. But our VP of Finance really feels that having that investment in the players makes that experience all that much better, and then it's just secondary advertising. So everything that you can do to get your players engaged and excited for the program, try to take advantage of it. And if you need to find that external revenue or sponsors to, and then that's the nice thing about esports right now is that your jerseys can look like a NASCAR car if you want them to, and you can just dish out a bunch of real estate on your jerseys to help fund that effort. So definitely don't hesitate to do that if you have any community partners that would be willing to support you and help you get you that equipment for your players. We did have a question from Cody come in. So Cody asked, would you say that we're at the point in collegiate esports where administration places an importance on the program's ability to help players improve in their games? Or is it mostly out of GameSoft's skill development they care more about?
Oh, yeah, big question, Cody. By the way, shout out, Cody. How you doing, man? Yeah, this is I don't know if we're at a crossroads yet necessarily. I don't think administration even understands that we compete in games and that we play against other schools a lot of times. What administration is cared about here a lot of times are the two big R's, right? Recruitment and retention. Those are incredibly important for administration, and they want engagement. They want a community being built, and showing that you're doing more than just playing video games. Yeah, it's great to win, right? Obviously, that's great. And that's used as marketing material in a lot of ways, right? People know about, a lot of times, the University of Alabama because Alabama wins like every freaking football game they play. So they know about that university because of their success on the field. I think that administration at some point will get there where they understand that the more you win, the more, the value you get out of a program. But winning is not everything. You can still have extreme value out of a program without winning a lot of games or championships. It's good to have good teams. That always helps. It's easier to promote. Students find a lot of value. They have a lot of buy-in. There's a lot of excitement on campus. Yeah, it's great. I just don't think administration sees that as much as they do the end goal of keeping students there to graduate with a degree. Progress towards graduation is incredibly important. It should be for all of us that we keep our students engaged and retained at our schools until they graduate. That should be a goal for every single person that works in higher ed, because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. And so, using esports as a platform to keep them engaged, something more than just they go to school, they go to class, they go home to the dorm, they study. They go back to class, they study, they take a test, they go back to the dorm, they study. There's got to be more to a collegiate experience than that. And I think that's what administration sees right now. A lot of them might not see the forest for the trees, where competition is going to get big, and people know about schools because they are the best in the world. Your Maryvilles, your Winthrop, your UCIs, your Harrisburgs, your Northwoods, those kind of schools that have shown us that they can be very successful across titles. And that's great. I just don't know if all administration across the board sees the value there yet, as much as they do at the end of the day, recruitment and retention and getting people those soft skills that can be applied across different things to help them get a job when they graduate.
Yeah, to add to that, my program in 2018, when I started it up, the main goal was retention, just to keep students. We didn't even think about recruitment the first 2 years. Then we started getting people coming to campus, filling out applications saying they're interested in esports. And for administration, that was actually a shock to them. And I was having, biweekly meetings with the athletic director saying, hey, I'm just getting random emails with people. And he's just like, how? Why? Because younger generations want to do this. Is basically how I explain it. And we now, promote the program and do that for recruitment to attract students. So, all right, what does Michael want us to talk about here?
Mike would like us to
recruiting students. So my college is a special mission college of Penn State, and we do applied technology. I think I have an upper hand in recruitment compared to a lot of other schools because we have welding, we have culinary arts, we have nursing, programming, plastics, building and construction. So there's not a lot of schools and programs out there who have an esports program who have those type of majors. So I use that to help me recruit these players. Right now, I have a Rocket League team that is all welders. And then my other Rocket League team is baking, pastry arts, nursing. I hope he continues on because that program's pretty difficult. And then the other one is in building and construction. So the biggest thing is you got to understand the mentality of the generations coming into college. They are all gamers. Every single one of them, whether it is playing a game on their laptop or playing console or playing on their phone, there's some game they play. And you just need to find out what that is and recruit and work towards it. I'm recruiting for titles that aren't out there yet, like iRacing. Among Us, we do battles on campus like that. So, yeah, Pokemon Unite, that'd be nice. But yeah, so yeah, there's just so many different ways that you can retain and also recruit your students.
Yeah. To piggyback on that, selling the academic side is great for anybody, and finding where it's unique. I knew Josh was going to bring up iRace. He's got to fit that in.
Yeah.
That's why I laughed. He's the guru when it comes to it, and really exciting stuff happening there. Here, same thing. We sell our programs. We're lucky that we have an academic esports program that, again, is about experiential learning, which is what our arena is created around. But I think, also back to Brooks's point about recruiting for like graphic design and streaming and broadcast, we've got a full-scale broadcast production setup going on this year. We want to catch up to the Boise's and the St. Clairs of the world, apparently, and institute that broadcast production. But it's not only because it's good for the school, it's also good for the students to understand this side of it. It's such a critical part of what the industry is, that being able to bring them into our broadcast room, and I always tell recruits, let's go into what the actual brains of the operation is, and that's in the broadcast room, because it controls everything that goes out. And so everything from the hardware to the software to the programming and production management, we let our students have a hand in everything we do. And so that's important to us to make sure that we give them that chance. And yeah, we recruit for that, but we don't offer any scholarships for it. Some schools offer scholarships for broadcasters. Some offer scholarships for competitors. Some offer scholarships for graphic design. Some schools like us, we don't offer scholarships for anything for esports. And so it's about the message that you send out and providing opportunities for students that make it a unique experience. And I always tell schools or students, I'm not saying you have to come to SU because it's the best experience. I'm saying it's an experience that's different than any other school you're going to go to. Just like at St. Francis, it's a different experience you're going to get anywhere else. Just like any other school, it's going to be a unique experience to that school every time. I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm just saying they're all different. And so for that student, it's about seeing where their opportunity is to be involved in graphic design or in the broadcasting, sitting behind the casting desk like I am right here. I know you can't tell, but I'm sitting behind the casting desk, or you're in production management, or you're chat moderating, working the observer view, doing the hot editing and replays and creating overlays and all that other stuff that goes with the broadcast side. And so it's about telling recruits and recruiting for the whole of the program, not just competing, not just broadcast production, but really recruiting students that want to be involved every step along the way. And I don't need the smartest students in the world involved in my program. I need the ones that are going to work, because esports requires work. It requires long hours, nights and weekends, like everybody here knows. And so you need students that are willing to put that work in, that are committed to putting in that effort, because at the end of the day, you're going to get out of the program what you put into it. And so that's really what I preach to a lot of our students. And when I do recruit for especially the broadcast side, I tell them, hey, we're going to give you every opportunity to use our equipment we provide for you, to work with outside organizations that need help broadcasting, to broadcast every single night of the week for us, which apparently now is Monday, maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And so there's a lot of broadcast opportunity for students. And so telling them all these different opportunities that exist at each of your institutions is important for them to make that decision. But yeah, it's going to come down to how you recruit, what you can offer, and where students think that they fit in the best to get the best experience possible.
Absolutely. And for us, I know it's not going to be every school's going to be in this position, but we're actually lucky enough to be able to give work study to our shopcasters, our graphic designers. And so being able to talk to them when they come in as a prospective student on their visit, and they get really excited because a lot of students know they're not the most competitive or they're not the most skilled in their game. But when I tell them, oh, you can make money and get paid by shoutcasting or content creation and by supporting our program, they get really excited about that. And this year, like we were talking about previously in terms of gear, they actually came to me, and all of our shopcasters and our content creators were like, look, we want polos. I'm like, don't you guys want jerseys? And they're like, no, we want to be really official. We want polos. So I'm going to try to do what I can to get them polos this year. And so just being able to provide any sort of that value added that we talked about earlier for the non-competitive students as well, just really helps keep them engaged, especially like Joey was saying, because of the late nights and all the work that it does take to put these programs together. So jumping down, in terms of our program structures, what's our staff structure look like? What do you utilize work studies for? Do you have GAs? Just kind of walk us through the structure of the program.
I'll start with this because Michael Brooks added some. Do your programs work with club level esports programs? And if so, how do they work with your clubs? I think that was directed right towards me because I only run my varsity program. Yes, I said I have a streaming team, all that stuff. That's all at the club level. I let all my students run that part of it, the promotion, those types of things. I'm trying to get the social media transitioned over to that as well. So I personally feel, and I don't think there's a right way still to build an esports program. It's how it's best fit on your campus. But I want to involve as many people as possible on my campus to be a part of the program. I consider my streamcasters part of my varsity program. They get an jersey. They get listed on the athletics website. Same with the behind the scenes people. I have some who are student workers in networking. So they manage my network and make sure that it's optimized, everything for each game. We get, one hop to the server and we're good to go so we can beat everybody else. But yeah, I utilize a lot of the club organization to run the different aspects of a program. So anytime you can do that, do it, because the students want to be involved. That's the greatest part about esports, is you don't need to do it all yourself. They will help. So don't try and put all that effort and power, on yourself. Use that to, keep talking to your administration to build the program up and utilize what your students are doing to say, hey, this is how it's going with students. Imagine what could happen if we, legitimize this a little bit more and create a student worker position for 18 hours a week. Then maybe turn that into a 25-hour part-time position, and then, down the road to a full-time position. So it's definitely a good way to grow your program, is to bring those students in from the club level.
Yeah, and to go off the structure, it's one thing you got to have that one person that is kind of what I always call the champion of esports on a campus, whether it's high school or college. You got that one go-to person that their job is esports, right? That is really important and really helps with the growth of a program. Beyond that, if you're able to get a second person to help out, awesome. A lot of programs aren't there. Some programs are. So for us here, what we have is we've got, sorry, my provost is calling me right now, but I'm still not going to answer that. He can wait. I'm a full-time faculty member at the university. I'm also the director of the program. I've got a full-time head coach as the assistant director. And he's a rock star when it comes to organizing all of our student workers. So we have 2 full-time people on the competitive side. I've also got a full-time instructor of esports. And so myself and him are full-time on the academic side. And so that really helps kind of keep things organized, because 3 full-time people involved in the program at a staff or faculty level, 37 work study positions. We have 2 grad assistants that we're given each year out of our MBA program for esports management. So that also helps, and so having those student workers and grad assistants is incredibly beneficial. We rely on some volunteers for our coaches, whether they're students or in the community. I try to get them a little stipend into the year, $1,000 here, maybe $2,000, depending on how much they're coding and how much they're active throughout the year. But largely they think they're volunteers until we find out there's money left over at the end of the year, if there is. So that's a big thing that we focus on is, we got 3 full-time faculty and staff. Then we've got 37 work study positions that are all students. We've got 2 GAs, and that's how we manage things. And as far as above me, where my kind of supervision is, technically, we're under academics, under the business school because of the academic side. But the dean and I have talked a lot, and I was like, you know what? Give me what I need, and honestly, I'd say get out of my way. I have a really good relationship with administration here, and they've seen what we've done here with esports. And I just tell them, look, give me the resources I need and get insert whatever word you want to there out of my way, and I'll keep it growing. But I don't need a lot of administration above me that are creating roadblocks and constraints that I have to go through to make decisions, because esports moves so quickly. And they don't know. They don't understand how esports operates at the collegiate level. I don't even know how esports operates at the collegiate level, but I got a better idea than they do. And so I tell them, I'll make sure you're on board and are aware of what we're doing and that it's congruent with the mission of the university. I'm not going to steer you wrong, but don't constrain me. Don't create extra roadblocks where I can't pivot and move and create that experience that our students need. So yeah, it's going down to how it's set up, how your program is set up is going to be dependent on the resources you have, how many people you can hire in your budget. But if you can have at least one full-time person just for esports, you are in a great spot. Then you can grow from there. Hiring coaches, getting students on board is all incredibly important.
Awesome, Joey. That's a great transition to our final pre-planned question. What other departments do you work with on campus to support the program?
Go ahead, Joshua.
Sure. Well, it's pretty simple. Educational technology, the department I work in, basically runs the technical side of the show. And then we have, we're exploring the academic side of it now with one of our schools. And then the official part is our program is still under athletics, and literally the only support there is our budget, because they see sports in it, and that's all they see. So I'm not saying that as a bad thing. They definitely let us do what we need to do to become, a good program. But when you're talking about departments and you're looking at your program, choose the department that's going to give you the most support. It doesn't need to be under athletics. It doesn't need to be under student engagement or any of those. If having it under the library works for you, do it. I see a lot of people who I've been talking to recently. They're putting it under IT because it is very tech heavy. And usually the people who are interested in it are IT people anyway on campus, the employee wise. So yeah, always just, go with what you think's going to be best to grow your program.
Yeah, great point, Joshua. And talking about who's going to support your program is big because on a campus, a lot of different departments want to get involved with you because it's a new and it's exciting area. It's a way that they want to get to work with you on something because they want to be part of it, but they might not understand it and be able to support you the way that you can support them. And it's got to be, mutually beneficial, working with people across campus. Because if everybody comes knocking, you can't work with everybody. You're going to water down everything you do. So you got to be strategic, as much as you can. You, of course, want to work with everybody. That's great. Interdisciplinary, cross-campus, cultural, whatever. It's great to work with as many as you can, but you've got to be careful because so many people will come asking to work with you that you can't control everything. Admissions is big. Working with admissions is going to help you out a lot. We have an office of marketing and communication that's been critical to what we do to help get the word out about what we do. So they have been great partners with us. On the academic side, we actually work with our music education, our conservatory on campus, and we teach a video game music class here, which is really popular and an awesome class. I mean, listening to the Halo chanting that's going on with the monks, awesome. It's my favorite part of the class. I don't teach it. I just kind of audit it because I think it's so cool. So finding where there's mutual, benefit across campus is big. Marketing is big. Admissions is big. Student life and student engagement, intramural sports to run, inter-campus events is going to be good too. But just keep in mind that you're going to burn yourself out. You could try to work with every single part of campus. You've got to make sure that you're doing what's best for you and your program as well as the whole of the university without watering down the experience for anybody. So while you want to work with everybody, and I get it, it's ambitious, be careful with how you're navigating that sometimes so you don't burn out and don't spread yourself too thin. But certainly admission and marketing have been two of the biggest ones for us.
Awesome. Thank you both very much. We're almost coming up on time. Do you two have any final words of wisdom to share with everyone before we head off to the next sessions?
Good luck. No, good luck. Have fun. No, it's I think just being here is a big step in the right direction. I really applaud what everybody is doing and surrounding yourself with this community of people. None of us can do what we do by ourselves. We're all in this together, and we want to help each other out. Whether it's on the academic side, competitive side, professional development, just being together is big. So always feel free to reach out to any of us with any questions that anybody has about anything, because we want to help prevent those headaches we've all been through and constantly go through. So you're doing great. Get your program started if you haven't yet. Find a way to get it off the ground. It will grow, and it will be so rewarding for you.
All I have is my PSA. I know I saw a couple people, and Joey brought up the iRacing. There's an iRacing roundtable here at 5 o'clock Eastern time. And I believe we have someone from the Collegiate Racing League and somebody from NASCAR that's going to be on that panel. So I look forward to seeing a whole bunch of people there who want to start up a sim racing league here.
Awesome. Thank you both very much. Thank you all for joining our session today. The next sessions coming up are roundtables for the virtual vendor floor. And then a private session for members. We have our first NACE legislative session. So those are your next two options. So thank you all again. You have about a 5-minute break, and we'll see you in the next session.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. See ya.